Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to the shop. Today we're going to be making the carcass for the desk drawers. Now I was hoping to be a little bit farther along with the drawer slides in this as well, but today we ran into quite a few problems. And so some of this video is actually going to be showing the problems that occur and how I fix them up. So let's dive in and build this sucker. I did this just to prove that yes, I do have a shooting board and I do use it from time to time, but in this case, I'm just going to freehand shoot it. And this one was actually out of square. I needed to adjust the shooting board. So I did a video on the second channel actually adjusting the shooting board and showing you how you can adapt it. Now we need to cut all of these pieces to length. These are going to be dovetailed pieces that will separate the two legs that we built last time. And we need to cut them to their exact length. They're going to be their shoulder to shoulder plus 3/4 on either end. The dovetails will be sticking out a 3/4 inch. They're not going to be very special dovetails. They're just going to be full width dovetails, and that will give us the strength we need. So we're going to mark all the way around the board and then cut it down to exactly the right length. And then once we have all four of these cut to the right length, we can figure out where we want to put the dovetails on them. Ooh, I love a good clean cut. So far, everything's going right according to plan, and I'm rather happy. This is a project I was expecting to get a good way done this day, but it didn't always turn out the way I expected it. Labeling all of these with markers, top and this one's bottom. James's side of the desk, Sarah's side of the desk. And then these are the legs from last time. We need to take them apart so that we can then connect these stretchers to the feet and the top braces. So we can pull off all of the feet and top braces and clamp them together. This way we can draw a line all the way across them where the dovetailed stretchers need to connect to. So now we have them all set up. I can say I want them to connect right here. And I actually did not have a measurement for it. I just picked that spot and put it on there. Now I can draw a line across all of them, and this is where the stretcher will touch in its corner. I want to mark out the exact width of the board, so we can set that down, lay another mark. We also need to do this on the legs, and there'll be two stretchers that go between the legs, and then there will be two stretchers that go between the top and the bottom piece. So we're going to set the depth of our marking gauge to the exact depth of the board we'll be going into it. And then we can lay out on the ends of the boards how far those dovetails are going to stick out. In this case, they're 3/4 inch. So we're going to mark all the way around the board as this will be our dovetails. Now I'm just freehand cutting these dovetails, so I just pick a spot about 1/8 inch in and then cut down at an angle. And that's the total of the dovetail. I'm not going to put anything in the middle. I just want to make a simple dovetail that will connect. It doesn't have to be anything special on these. It's just something that's kind of holding the two sides together. We'll cut the shoulders in, and now we've got our dovetail on the board. We can lay that onto our legs and then mark where they need to intersect, and then draw all the lines to continue that. We also need to know how far down in to cut, so we can bring in that same marking gauge we used to mark in the ends of the dovetails and mark in here. Now on this we're basically cutting the pins, except for there is no pin. It's like a half pin on either side. We'll cut down to depth, and then we can come in with a chisel and chop out in between them. Start high, a long ways away from the line. Don't hit it too hard, and break off little piece by little piece until you get down close to the line. I'm always aiming up so that I'm not going to go into the line below. Just take it as close as you can until you get really close to that line, then go right into the marking gauge line and splinter up the little pieces. Flip it around, cut from the other side, and you can get a really nice clean cut all the way across. Hey, heaviness. Then test it, make sure the fit is what you're looking for, and just like that we have a dovetail into one of the feet. I'm going to repeat that for both feet and both of the top pieces, and there we go. We have those dovetails in. Now we need to put the dovetails into the two legs. We laid out on the legs earlier where they need to be, but now we need to actually mark the dovetails into the legs. In this case, I'm going to mark on the board how far in I want the dovetails to be, because the separation of the two legs is already determined by the stretchers that we just put together. So in this case, I don't want to actually measure it out, I want to mark it on reality. We're going to do the exact same thing again, cutting in at an angle on the ends of these and then cutting off the little shoulder. And we've got basically identical dovetail boards that we did earlier, except for these are a little bit shorter because they go leg to leg. And yes, do it on both ends and make life happy. Now we can set them out very, very carefully on the boards and mark them out and transfer. Now the eagle eyes here will see what I'm doing wrong, and yeah, that's where things started to go wrong, and I didn't notice it. So we're going to keep going just as if things are the way they should be. Except for here I noticed, oops, I put this on backwards. So rather than remarking the lines, I just figured, it really doesn't matter. So I just peeled this off and circled and turned it around. Now that wasn't actually the problem. That was kind of a problem. It was something I wasn't expecting. But it was the foreboding of what is coming out. Now we can transfer all of these marks that we just drew onto the legs and cut down. Now this is basically going to be a half-blind dovetail, so we need to cut in at a 45-degree angle, corner to corner. And this takes us most of the way. And I can't use the card scraper trick on this because I'm going across the grain. The card scraper trick only works when you're going onto the end grain. So we have to be very careful here in our chopping in. Stay away from the line as long as possible. Chop in, pare down the ends, chop in, pare down the ends, chop in, pare down the ends, and then slice it out. Eventually you'll get back down to your line, and then you can take it right into the marking gauge line. But before we go much farther, we're actually just going to test it, make sure that all the angles are fitting up, and that's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's what we want. Good. Now you can continue on down until we get down to our depths, making sure we're nice and square. Sometimes I'll use the tip of the chisel to actually scrape the back of it, making sure it's nice and square. And we can fit the piece down in there and make sure it slides down in like happy. Ooh, that's a happy fit there. Now we can put this into all of them, and so we'll have 2 spacers between the legs. And here I realize, uh-oh, I just put those on the wrong corner. Those back legs need to be rotated 90 degrees. Stink. So here I have a conundrum. I can either recut these and put a new notch on the same leg, or I can cut a whole new leg. And because the rotation of the leg and putting the notch in the right spot will mean that the old notch will still be hidden, it'll be behind the drawers, I thought, let's actually go with this. I'm just going to cut a new notch. Unfortunately, that meant that the notches were actually going to kind of run into each other. You can see how I'd rotate it here, and this is where I need to cut the actual notch that way. So let's do this. So we're going to do it all over again, mark them out, cut in, and this time it was easier to cut in because I could cut down there, and it was easier to chop out because I had that space in there. That meant there was a big gap there. And it really wasn't making that much of a difference until right about here. And you notice that little spot down there? Oh, it's breaking. Oh, it's breaking. Oh, no. I just broke it. Yeah, sometimes life is that way. So at this point, I'm like, no, I'm going to take the time. And I took another 4 hours or so and made 2 new legs. But that meant I need to do all of that joinery again. So we cut the boards to size, we cut in the notches, we cut in the space for the legs and foot to go into. We recut all of the dovetail slots, and then we drilled the draw bore holes for the pegs to go through, and we finally back to where we were about 3.5, 4 hours later. Okay, so now we got that together. Now I want to put in the drawer slides. But this was already taking too long. I need to get a video out. But let's see how this actually all goes together. You can see how that slides down in there. And one of these notches ended up being really wiggly. You can see the back one there. It was really loose. And I wish I had made that one a little tighter, but oh well. Such is life. We will fill it with some glue and it will work perfectly fine. And I wanted to start getting into putting in the drawer slides. And these are actually going to be mortised into the back leg and then half-lapped into the arch. And you can see how the drawer slide will go in there, and the drawers will then slide on those. But around here I realized I'm not going to have enough time to get those in before getting this video out today. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. So I was really hoping to get the drawer slides in today, because I thought that would make a great video, having it all the carcass done. And it was all set to do it, all gung-ho, until I realized I made the mistakes that I made. And you know what? That's life. Mistakes happen, and that's one of the best ways to learn, because I may have learned a lesson there. Check twice. Although that's a lesson I probably should have learned a few times. But that's normal. Everyone's going to go through that. And if you ever see a video where people make things absolutely perfectly the first time, realize that there was a lot of editing that went into that. Sometimes you just have to leave some footage on the floor. But sometimes I like to show it and let you know that it happens to everyone. Dumb things happen in life. So there you have it. We've got the carcass-ish, sort of. Hopefully next time we'll have the drawer slides in and have the drawers built and have this basically done. After that, it will be the final integration and finish on it. So we're coming right along, and I'm really looking forward to this thing being knocked out. So hopefully soon. But yeah, sometimes you learn, and sometimes you don't. You make the same stupid mistake over and over again, and that's kind of the school of hard knocks that I learned from. But when I do make mistakes, I try to keep them in the video to show what reality is as opposed to what YouTube wants you to think woodworking is. So when you make mistakes, it's part of life. Realize it and move on. And then remake that part again. So I hope you like this. I do want to say thank you to all the patrons on Patreon. Everyone scrolling over here on the side is helping making this channel possible. Thank you for that. Without patrons and members here on YouTube, that would not happen. Also, I now have memberships available on Wood by Wright 2, this channel. So if you want to help out with that, you can click the join button down below. So I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Problems come and problems go. But as they go, it gets happier.